Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 4 to 5. I'm Eric Chilton alongside Maddie Gardner, Tahisha Moyes, and Christian Morgan.
Yes, we are here to inform you, make you feel connected, and as always, let you into our world.
Yes, and connect with us during the show. We stream this show live on Facebook every day, and you can join the conversation that way.
Well, let's get right into the latest with COVID-19 news around North Carolina. Governor Roy Cooper and the coronavirus task force just gave us an update. And unfortunately, our COVID-19 numbers are not getting any better. 20 North Carolina counties, including Guilford and Alamance, are now listed in the red zone, meaning there is a critical level of community spread. We saw more than 2,400 new cases today, and the state sadly passed 5,000 deaths since the pandemic began. Because of the growing cases, Governor Cooper decided to extend and strengthen the statewide mask mandate.
Masks, distance, small gatherings, all of these are critical during the holidays and cold months ahead. The order extends these protections through December the 11th. Wearing a mask over our mouth and nose is the best thing we can do to prevent the spread of this virus. It costs so little, but it does a lot to put countless dollars back into our economy by making it safer to visit stores and other businesses.
Greensboro's Mayor Nancy Vaughan was also at the task force update today. Mayor Vaughan talked about the recent emergency declaration order for the city that was put into place last Friday. It helps further enforce the mask mandate and capacity orders at businesses.
So over the past 3 days, the U.S. has reported more than 517,000 new cases. It's pretty amazing here. Now that puts the total since the start of the pandemic above 12 million people. In South Dakota, the state has seen more deaths per capita last week than any other state. And over the weekend, several counties in California went under a curfew. But despite that, a lot of people were still out in the streets at curfew time. While the National Guard was deployed to the El Paso County morgue as the area experienced a spike in hospitalizations and deaths.
Another coronavirus vaccine is giving us positive news. AstraZeneca, along with Oxford University, say the trial results for their vaccine are about 90% effective. Now, this one works a little different compared to the possible Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. The AstraZeneca vaccine only uses a half dose for the first shot, meaning more people could be vaccinated faster. It also doesn't need to be stored at sub-freezing temperatures, making distribution easier.
There are a few key dates on the COVID-19 timeline. March 11th, the World Health Organization declares COVID-19 a pandemic. On March 27th, Governor Roy Cooper issued a stay-at-home order, and then on June 26th, our statewide mask mandate began. And for the past 8 months, healthcare workers on the front lines have faced this virus head-on. I reached back out to a Winston-Salem nurse to see how she is 242 days later.
We're all exhausted, but we're okay.
That was Savannah Hayes 8 months ago. Just days into the coronavirus outbreak in the Triad, neither she nor her coworkers at Novant Health knew what was in store. She and I called up today on the start of her first week off since the pandemic began.
I knew that we were going to be in it for the long haul. This is not something that's going to go away until there's an effective treatment or an effective vaccine.
Hayes is now in a new role, but she spent the first part of the pandemic at Novant Health's screening centers. She says even though that seems like ages ago,
COVID's still there.
For Hayes, the pandemic has been a marathon, running for so long that at this point it's hard to differentiate between work and home life.
Learning to shut that COVID mindset off at certain times of the day. You stay in that mode so often, especially when you work somewhere like a screening site. It's difficult when you come home and you just feel like you need to continue to protect yourself constantly, even at home, when you should be able to relax.
So much has changed since we first met 8 months ago, but her plea to the public to help frontline workers fight the virus has not.
Right now, I would love for the general public to know that social distancing really does help us a lot.
If at all possible, stay at home for Thanksgiving with your immediate family.
Yes, and I know we've heard about social distancing and not being in big groups since March of this year, but it really does help those frontline workers who have been face to face with this virus every day since March.
Yeah, and I get what she was talking about when she said you go home, right, and you feel like you can't turn off COVID because you're thinking about it all day. That's something a lot of first responders do, journalists do. We're talking about it all day and all night. But if I heard correctly, this is her first time off
Her
since the
first
start of the
week
pandemic.
off since the start of the pandemic. She had a few days off in July, but other than that, guys, she's been working.
I mean, I can't even fathom that you're faced with, and not even take yourself out of it. For those folks that are faced with death every day, I mean, they are seeing that happen here and there. Maybe not all the time, but here and there. And I can't imagine the stress that that puts on you every day. I get what she's saying about how do you go home and turn that switch off? You can't. It stays with you.
And if you think about it, if you truly want to show your appreciation to those frontline healthcare workers, the best thing you can do is slow the spread of the virus. Wear your mask, avoid large groups, wash your hands.
3 easy things. All right, Maddie, thank you. All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup. Courts all across the country are having to delay jury trials due to low jury turnout, and that's due in part because of the pandemic. Officials say non-response rates are much higher now than they were before the pandemic. Courts are under pressure to resume trials because of case backlogs piling up. A few courts have held trials in person by video conference, but criminal defense attorneys oppose this because it's harder to determine if the jurors are paying attention. In the meantime, travel is up across the country despite warnings from health officials. Sunday was the busiest day at U.S. airports since March 16th. AAA estimates up to 50 million Americans will travel for Thanksgiving, down from last year. But the holiday comes as the U.S. sets daily records for coronavirus cases. Some are now turning to COVID tests before spending time with loved ones, but experts warn testing could provide a false sense of security because of COVID's up to 14-day incubation period. 2 or 3 days after a negative test, you could become contagious even before showing symptoms. The co-founder of the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge has died of the disease he raised millions of dollars to fight. The ALS Association says Pat Quinn died Sunday at the age of 37. He was diagnosed in 2013 with what's also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. The association says Quinn's Ice Bucket Challenge raised about $115 million to support its work. It also brought in about $220 million for research in other countries. A U.S. swimmer is now going down in the history books. 24-year-old Caleb Drusel broke records in the butterfly and freestyle competition just 40 minutes this weekend apart, that is. Drusel became the first swimmer to swim a 100-meter butterfly under 48 seconds with a time of 47.78. He then won the 50-meter freestyle, clocking in at 20.16 seconds.
All right, weather-wise, let's take a look across the Triad this afternoon. We have that beautiful sunshine and those beautiful Carolina blue skies. Of course, those sunsets are getting earlier. You can already tell that the sun is starting its descent in the sky. It's been a breezy day of weather, too. That's really been the headline. We've had gusts anywhere from 20 to 25 miles per hour. The strongest gust we've seen today, a 29-mile-per-hour gust over in Winston-Salem. Those winds are bringing in all of that cooler air that we've been enjoying today. Temperatures in the mid-50s across the board for us, but notice down to the south, it's still warm, upper 60s to near 70 degrees as you get down towards Hilton Head. But all of this cooler air to our north is starting to work its way in behind that front that crossed by overnight. Of course, high pressure is built into the area. That's keeping us dry and sunny today and tomorrow too. It will start to shift offshore though, and then we have another system to watch as we head into your Thanksgiving, or really the day before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Day itself. Tonight, we'll be right around freezing under clear skies tonight, so colder than we have been over the last couple of nights. And generally some lower 30s, maybe even some upper 20s back to the west and in the foothill and mountain communities. For your Tuesday, it's another nice day of weather. Really not going to have to worry about that wind concern like we did today. There will be a lot of sunshine. It'll be cooler, temperatures back in the lower and mid 50s. Maybe we'll see a few high clouds from time to time in the afternoon, but otherwise it's a beautiful sunny day. Of course, we are talking about that system heading our way for Thanksgiving. It looks to arrive late on Wednesday and linger through at least the first half of Thanksgiving. We'll time it out for you and give you details. Plus, we'll show you that 7-day forecast coming up when your 4 to 5 returns.
So I know it's an understatement to say this, but your holidays, all of our holidays, are adjusted a little bit, let's say, due to COVID-19. But what better time to treat yourself and your loved ones to a really wonderful meal? Now, the folks at 1618 Restaurants have cooked up a special for us just, this week, basically, that's going to last through the holidays. I spoke with General Manager Stacy Land about how we can be safe and take advantage of these deals. Take a look. So holidays are coming up. I'm sure you guys have lots of different things planned, and at each different restaurant, right?
We definitely are. The west location on Friendly Avenue has opened up a little bit of a larger space, so we can do private parties and still being able to socially distance, which is really great and helpful there. Midtown is, again, they've opened up inside and outside dining, so they're open Tuesday through Saturday for all events there. Then the downtown spot is starting to run some really fun specials. So they've got a ramen night, they're doing specials off Bubbles. Our on location division, which has been catering, has started to develop a bunch of really cool packages to take home. So, you're not going to quite as many parties with quite as many people now, but we like to still say we can help you cater that event in your house. And then finally, our newest or youngest division, the book club, our wine club, has started putting together wine packages for you. So, things that are giftable, something to buy for that hard to purchase, family member or boss.
It's interesting. I feel like the restaurant industry has really had to redefine itself, and you guys, I'm sure that is probably the topic of all the meetings these days, is how can we do things differently?
How can we do things differently? How can we do things safely? And how can we make people feel like we're still doing them the same way? Being 1618 has been a presence in Greensboro for at least 16 years, right? So you're used to going to West and having your fun dinner and your special occasion, having cocktails out with Max behind the bar at Midtown. So we're still trying to make those spaces feel safe and socially distanced. You can see we've got, farther apart tables and things like that. But trying to make people feel comfortable and this is still their favorite place to go and safe to do it is the trick.
Stacey, thanks for your time. Happy holidays to you. I'm sure a lot of us will be out there visiting. And the key here is that nothing wrong with curbside, and that's what a lot of people are doing. And I think almost just to have that food, it's a comfort thing. We all talk about how eating is such a nostalgic kind of comfort kind of thing, and I think we need something like this to treat ourselves every now and again. You don't have to go in if you don't want to.
I always say things hit different during the holidays, whether it's food, it's music, it's just anything around this time of year. I feel is a lot easier to put a smile on my face, and with something like this, very easy to do.
A couple of things that I love about this story. First, we can support local, right? We know that local businesses need our help right now, so this is a great way to do it. Second, many people aren't having big gatherings for Thanksgiving. The entire family isn't coming over, and it's really hard to cook a Thanksgiving meal for 4 or 5 people, just your immediate family, and you have all of those leftovers that really, they're fine the day after, but once you get a few days down, we know they're not as good. So I love that you can just order from a restaurant. 2 birds, 1 stone with this one.
Easy to do.
All right, the 4 to 5 is heading to break, but we are live all the time on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, wherever you want to watch us. Join our conversation.
Sure. I am talking about the ways that music is good for your health.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. We can all agree that this year has been like no other, with the ongoing pandemic, economic instability, remote school and work, uprooted holiday plans. You name it, people are experiencing higher levels of stress than usual. And we've all heard about getting enough sleep, eating right, and exercising to reduce stress, and those are great. But what role does music play in helping you manage stress, particularly now that people are starting to play my favorite, Christmas music? That's why Blanca Cobb is here this afternoon. We're going to chat about this. Blanca, I love this topic. We'll start off, is there a benefit to listening to music?
There is, Maddie, and particularly to your physical health, which I'm not sure that everybody realizes, but when you listen to music, it can actually decrease your pain level, decrease your cortisol level, which is your stress hormone, decrease your blood pressure and your heart rate, and it can also increase these feel-good hormones like endorphins and serotonin. What was an interesting research that I read on Harvard Health is that they did a study and they had 40 people who were going into cataract surgery. So there were 40 people divided into two groups, 20 and 20. One group could not listen to music, the other group did. And they measured their blood pressure before the surgery. And what they noticed during the surgery, those who listened to music, their blood pressure decreased in the operation and in recovery, where the group who didn't listen to music, their blood pressure was still a little elevated.
Wow, so studies are showing that music can help us physically, but what about our mental health? Can it affect that?
Absolutely. It can decrease depression. It can boost up a positive mood. Again, in Harvard Health, they did a research study where they were looking at a review of the research from 1994 to 1999. So 5 years of research. And what the overwhelming findings were that it decreases your symptoms of depression.
Wow. So what kind of music should we be listening to mellow out, Blanca?
Well, to mellow out, the University of Nevada at Reno says slow music, which will calm your mind, and it also calms your body. It's more of a relaxing feeling. But let's say you're feeling a little bit down in the dumps and you want something that's going to pick you up. Upbeat music will help because it increases your optimism and your happiness in life.
So that's why I listen to Christmas music on days when I need a little boost, right?
Exactly.
John Legend Christmas album was my go-to today. There's something about it. Just makes me happy. Blanca, thank you so much for joining us again. Love this topic. If you need to see any of that, you can find it on our website, WFMYnews2.com.
And nice weather helps too, doesn't it? That's what we have today. Temperatures wise, pretty comfortable in the mid 50s across the board. It has been a breezy day of weather. You can actually see there's still some warmth down to our south where that cooler air quite hasn't made it to yet. But all of this cooler air to the north working its way into the Piedmont today as high pressure has built into the area. And that will be in control over the next couple days, but it will start to slide offshore as early as tomorrow. Then behind it, we're watching another system. This is going to be the big deal to watch for Thanksgiving. First, though, tonight, clear skies, temperatures around freezing for those overnight lows. Another day like we had today, back in the mid 50s with sunshine tomorrow. I don't really think we'll have to worry about the winds tomorrow. Now let's talk about that system for Thanksgiving. Really, Wednesday is shaping up to be a nice day. The rain really doesn't arrive until late Wednesday evening through the overnight hours and into your Thanksgiving morning. So any outdoor eating plans, I wouldn't set up the night before or early Thanksgiving morning. It should be out of here shortly after lunchtime. You can plan really by about 2 or 3 to have those outdoor dinners, if you will. Temperature-wise, we should be in the 60s by Thanksgiving afternoon. Here's how the holiday is stacking up. Again, Wednesday, I think, is just fine. Watching the morning time frame on Thanksgiving Day for some rain, but it clears out in the afternoon, and we have a really nice Black Friday ahead, and we're in the 60s. Heading into the weekend, we'll watch another system heading our way over the course of the weekend. That's your forecast. 4 to 5, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to your 4 to 5. Thanksgiving is just a few days away. Maybe you've already started cooking or you're pulling out some recipes. So my question of the day to you is, what family recipe will be on your Thanksgiving table this year? I love the responses I got today. Kathy Grubbs Marshall says, we will have my mama's dressing recipe, and I always make a 7-layer salad. We divvy up the cooking. Everyone has a couple of heirloom recipes to create. Tammy Cook Dow says, my mother's homemade mac and cheese, her dressing, and pumpkin pie. Joe Fowler said, oyster dressing. I've heard a lot of people talk about oyster dressing. Bobby Odom says, my aunt's baked mac and cheese. I don't know what all she puts in it, but it is the best. Yeah, when you have that go-to, I mean, even if something else is technically better than a family recipe, it's the taste of nostalgia and home that just sets it apart from everything else.
It's so true. My sister has my mother's recipe box. My mother passed away in '07, and so we go through that recipe box, and it's like handwritten by her, which makes it awesome. And so my sister will forever take pictures of that, send them to me so we can imitate some of those recipes. Never tastes exactly the same, though.
Well, the one thing that is missing sometimes is love, right? You can't be mad when you're cooking. So if you're using the recipe from years past, you got to channel the person who wrote the recipe.
Think fond memories.
Yes.
What about you, Christian? What's the family recipe for the Morgan fam?
So I feel like it got stolen in the comment section there because I was going to mention my grandmother's baked mac and cheese. It's it's full of cheese and gooey. It's just so good. All right, now I'm getting hungry.
Cheese and mac and cheese? Novel.
Look.
Listen, we go with the sweet potato casserole in my family. I think I've talked about it for 2 weeks straight now, and I finally get it on Thursday. My mom sent my sister and I the recipe over the weekend, clipped out of a newspaper, but Granny definitely added more butter, more sugar, and a proprietary ingredient that I am not allowed to share.
That's the thing. That's the thing that grandparents always do. They use the real stuff, the real butter, tons of sugar, none of this low-fat junk like we use.
And no measurements either.
No, just
like a
pour it
pinch
in.
of that, a tub of that, a cup or two of that.
Eyeball it.
We love it.
Literally, some of my mom's recipes don't have amounts. It's like add butter. We're like, wait.
Yeah.
Just as much as it can take.
Until it cools up. Then you know it's enough.
All right, the 4 to 5 continues on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. We'll see you there.
Ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie, they forever go together.
Hey there, welcome back to your 4 to 5. I'm Eric Chilton alongside Maddie Gardner, Tahisha Moyes, and Christian Morgan. We're all here today.
We are, and we are also here to inform you, make you feel connected, and let you into our world.
And we want you to be a part of the conversation. We stream this show live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So head to the WFMY News 2 Facebook page and join the conversation that way.
Yes, please do. Well, we want to start the show off with a bit of good news today. Progress on a COVID-19 vaccine. AstraZeneca is the latest drug maker to release promising results in its coronavirus vaccine trials. The company says its vaccine is up to 90% effective at eliminating the virus. Now, AstraZeneca has been working on their shot with Oxford University, and we know it can be tough to figure out how all of these vaccines are different from one another. Luckily, our verified team is here to do some work for you.
Our sources for this are at the drug company AstraZeneca and Johns Hopkins University vaccines expert Dr. William Moss. This is going to sound like biology class, so let's break it down. AstraZeneca's vaccine is a different type of vaccine than Pfizer and Moderna produced. Those two injected the coronavirus genetic code straight into the patient, but AstraZeneca goes a more traditional route.
Instead of directly injecting kind of the nucleic acid, an RNA or DNA version of that gene, the gene is delivered in another virus.
This is video AstraZeneca provided on their process. Here's how it works. The company put the genetic code of coronavirus first into a dead or weakened adenovirus, then used that virus to deliver the code to the body. Then the body can create the immune response.
And they're just different strategies to kind of trick, if you will, our own body to make the virus protein, release it from the cells, and then our immune system responds to that.
How did AstraZeneca's trials go? AstraZeneca did 2 different dosages in their studies. In one trial, they gave patients a half dose, and then a month later, a full dose, and that proved to have an efficacy rating of 90%. The other trial, they gave a patient 2 full doses a month apart, and that proved to have a 62% efficacy rating. So the results of the combined studies averaged to a 70% efficacy rating.
Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, says that the U.S. could reach herd immunity against the coronavirus reasonably quickly, those were his words, next year if enough Americans get vaccinated. Now, more than half the country, though, would need to get vaccinated in order for this to work. Several recent polls have shown many Americans are still skeptical of a vaccine, and many say they will delay getting the vaccination or won't get one at all.
Well, Michigan and Pennsylvania could certify President-elect Joe Biden as the winner in those states. That could happen today, but President Trump still has no immediate plans to concede, even as President-elect Joe Biden gets ready to announce the first members of his cabinet. Now, CBS News confirmed that Biden had selected longtime aide and diplomat Tony Blinken to be his Secretary of State. CBS also confirmed the former vice president plans to nominate Linda Thomas Greenfield as ambassador to the United Nations. This comes as a small but growing number of Republicans are calling for President Trump to concede the race.
We're beginning to look like we're a banana republic. It's time for them to stop the nonsense.
The conduct of the president's legal team has been a national embarrassment.
The president's team is also paying for a partial recount in Wisconsin's 2 largest counties. President-elect Joe Biden won the state by about 20,000 votes.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup right now. Going back to school this year has been a lesson in patience. Now, since the surge of COVID cases this fall, many cities have suspended or postponed their plans to hold in-person classes. But more worrisome to educators is that hundreds of thousands of students did not enroll. They're not logging in or coming in. 60 Minutes compiled enrollment data from 78 of the largest school districts in the country, and the results were alarming. Districts reported that when school started, at least 240,000 students were unaccounted for. Food insecurity is on the rise. An analysis from the hunger relief organization Feeding America projects more than 50 million Americans will have experienced food insecurity in 2020, up from around 35 million before the pandemic. Food insecurity disproportionately affects Black and Latino Americans, especially those with kids. And as the need grows nationwide, some volunteers are noticing another trend. Many people are seeking help at food pantries for the first time because of the pandemic. T-Mobile is the first mobile carrier to step up to the plate in support of mental health. The carrier says its customers can now dial 988 for emergency mental health services. People would then be connected to the National Suicide Prevention Line. The FCC voted on that number in July to make it easier to connect struggling Americans to help. And in other news, Taylor Swift is on top again. She took home the night's top award at the American Music Awards, winning Artist of the Year. She is now the most awarded artist of all time in that category. She also won Favorite Music Video and Favorite Pop Rock Female Artist. Now, Swift wasn't at the show, but she reassured fans it was for a very good reason. She said she is busy re-recording all of her old music.
Weather-wise, starting to feel a little more like Thanksgiving out there. Our temperatures back in the 50s today, and we do have this beautiful Carolina blue sky all across the board today. And temperature-wise, quite comfortable, but the winds have been the big deal today. Winds gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour. Our strongest gust today has been a 29-mile-per-hour gust over in Winston-Salem. That was earlier this morning before lunchtime. We're in the mid-50s across the board, and that's kind of where we'll stay for at least one more day. High pressure in control of our weather today and tomorrow, keeping those beautiful Carolina blue skies around. But by Wednesday, it will start to shift offshore. I do think that Wednesday is still going to be a nice day of weather, but we'll be watching this weather system, another cold front heading our way. That's going to bring our chance for rain Wednesday night and into at least the first half of your Thanksgiving day. Tonight, though, clear skies will drop down to right around freezing for most folks here in the Piedmont, and even some lower 30s, maybe some upper 20s for the folks in the western counties and foothills as well. Your Tuesday, it's another nice day of weather. Really not going to have that breezy, that strong wind like we had today. We'll have a lot of sunshine. Temperatures will be back in the 50s again. There could be a few high clouds from time to time. Real quick, as far as timing goes on this system for Thanksgiving, again, I think Wednesday's a good day of weather. The rain doesn't arrive until late Wednesday night, and really it's an overnight event into the first half of your Thanksgiving day. By lunchtime, by early afternoon, most of that rain should be out of here, but the sun really won't come back until about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. That'll be the best time to have any of those outdoor dinner plans that you have in place. Staying in the 60s, but we dry out for Friday, watching another system headed our way over the weekend. Still a little too early to nail down timing and details on that, but we'll keep you updated. And that's your forecast.
All right, if you still need to get your groceries for your Thanksgiving dinner, you probably want to do your shopping sooner rather than later. Stores are going to be packed this week, and of course, we want to avoid crowds right now. So let's connect the dots on when the best time for you to shop safely is this week.
First things first, make a list and organize it in order of where things are located in the store. That will cut down wandering the aisles and limit your time inside. If you can, try not to bring anyone with you. The less people in the store, the better. And of course, don't forget your mask, hand sanitizer, and stay 6 feet apart from others. It's also best to go when the store is less crowded. Some still have hours set aside for seniors or other high-risk shoppers, and Google can show you the most crowded times for some grocery stores. Not surprisingly, that is usually Saturday afternoon. The least busy time is Monday morning. Once you get home, of course, wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Experts now think you don't have to wipe down all of your groceries, but it is a good idea to rinse off your produce. And if you don't want to deal with the hassle, don't forget about delivery, either through a grocery delivery site or a restaurant that can deliver.
Yes, delivery has been my best friend since March, and I will say if it's your first time using delivery, many of the apps and services might give you a discount or waive that delivery fee, so you can really capitalize on that with your Thanksgiving groceries.
Yeah, I would just say I would use a little bit of caution when it comes to, you can't pick out your own produce. You know, we've done delivery and it works for most things, but the produce thing, my wife is like, I'm too picky. I got to do it myself.
You see, I have my favorite Shipped shopper and she knows exactly how I like all of my produce. Now, Rosie, if you're watching, you're the MVP.
The suggestion there to make a list right before you go to the store, here's what happens every year. Inevitably, you forget a key ingredient for the recipe that you're going to make. So then you're scrambling Thanksgiving morning, trying to find a place that's open. Then you go to the store and they're all out of the ingredients. So you drive to another store and they're out there. And then you finally get it at the third store. Can you understand this happened to me? And my mom,
I was about to say, it sounds like
my buttons, but I got it done eventually.
So true.
All right, well, we wish you luck on your grocery shopping adventures this week, folks. Let's check in with Dania.
All right, you know the saying, the check is in the mail, and the check is $335. It is from North Carolina. It is called an extra credit grant. You know all about it.
We've talked about it before. It's the money designed to help families with remote learning, maybe some childcare expenses, but you can use it for whatever you want, right?
Whatever you want, right? Folks who file taxes get the check automatically, but if you don't file taxes, then what? Well, if you don't file taxes, the deadline was October, but get this, today that all changed. There is a new deadline for you to apply for the money, and it is 2 p.m. December 7th. Let me explain what happened. Legal Aid of North Carolina, along with others, took action to get the application process reopened, and this means, here are your qualifications. If you have a child who was 16 or under in 2019, you did not file a state tax return in 2019, you lived in North Carolina for all of 2019, you are due a $335 check. The application is online. We've made it easy for you to find it. What we want you to do is just go to the Two Wants to Know section. This is the recall story, but right next to the recall story is the $335 check story. You will not miss it. All right, let's take a look at what's happening tonight at 5:30. Coronavirus numbers continue to climb, so do the number of questions you have. Coming up at 5:30, an expert from Cone Health will be joining us to answer your questions. We're going to cover everything from Thanksgiving. Is it safe to go to Black Friday shopping? Text your questions, 336-379-5775. We get your answer starting at 5:30.
Well, here is something you do not want to miss. It is time once again, friends, for that Greensboro Holiday Institution. We're talking about the Waving Santa. Yes, at Friendly Center, of course. He's been around Friendly Shopping Center for decades, but this year you might be able to take him home. Now I have your interest, don't I? I spoke with Friendly Center Marketing Director Sarah Kodolnicki to get the scoop.
Sarah, thanks for talking with us today. So we have to talk about the history of the waving Santa, because some people that aren't familiar with this will see like, what is going on? But this is an institution.
Yes, the waving Santa is an icon for Greensboro. It came to Friendly Center back in 1959. So this will be its 61st year of waving to passersby on Friendly Avenue. It goes up on Black Friday every year and comes down the day after Christmas. So this year, we are excited to debut a polished up version of Waving Santa. While we were all in quarantine, he was getting a little bit of a facelift, so to speak, just some touch-ups. Nothing to the integrity of Waving Santa has changed. We've just made him a little bit brighter and jollier.
So it's funny, and people now can take their own replica home, so to speak. Because I see, is that on the table beside you there?
Yes, we have the Waving Santa bobble arm dolls back this year. These debuted about 10 years ago, and we decided that this year more than ever, people need to bring a little bit of Waving Santa home with them. So there's two different ways that you can get your hands on this cute little bobble arm doll. One of those is with a gift with purchase at locally owned stores. If you spend $50 or more at a locally owned store that's participating in this promotion, you'll go home with one of these bobble arm dolls. And the second option is to join us on Saturday, December 5th from 10 a.m. to noon to participate in our drive-through Santa food drive with Second Harvest Food Bank. Every car that donates a bag of food for the Piedmont Triad Families in Need will go home with a Waving Santa bobble arm.
It's so true that the sentimental nostalgic stuff is even more important, it seems like, this year than ever before. So I did not even realize that Waving Santa had been around that long. So thank you for bringing it back at a time when everybody needs it the most.
I think it's really cool that is a thing, and it sounds like it will always be a thing. And Maddie, I think maybe for the holidays I should stand out in front of Channel 2 just like this all day. All day.
Please.
I
Oh
would
my
pay to see
gosh.
that. I'll even pay you to stand
Can you
out.
imagine?
Let's do it. It's happening now.
I will say though, I'm a sucker for buying a bunch of stuff to get one free item, and I have a spot right here next to this photo of me and Alex that I kind of want a Waving Santa.
Well, I remember seeing Waving Santa when we would come shop at Friendly Center, but I, like you, Eric, didn't realize it had such a rich history. But he is so jolly to see when you're driving along Friendly Avenue. And I mean, if you're there at night, you pass by Sunset Hills, also on Friendly Avenue, the neighborhood who does the Christmas balls. It's magical.
Yeah, and our photographer, videographer, and editor, Manning, told me, he goes, wait, we're doing something on the Waving Santa? I love that guy. So apparently he knew all about it.
She has fans.
I know that it brings people joy, but until this, I had no idea it had such, such ties to Greensboro and such a, attachment to it.
During the story, Christian and I were doing our best Waving Santa. Your whole body has to be still, and just your arm.
It's like its arm is, it's like the rest of his body is broken.
Chilton, get practicing.
I am.
See
I'm
him
working on it.
outside of the station.
Don't forget
soon.
your tip bucket.
We'll be back.
Those classic holiday movies we all love are returning to WFMY this weekend. It all starts this Friday with Frosty the Snowman and Frosty Returns starting at 8 p.m. And then on Saturday, you'll get 2 hours of holiday fun with Robbie the Reindeer and the Story of Santa Claus, also starting at 8. And it wouldn't be the holidays without Rudolph. You'll be able to watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer next Tuesday, December 1st, starting at 8 o'clock. So today on Facebook for my question of the day, I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the best holiday movie and why? Let's get a look at some of the comments you had left on my page today. Sherry Ingram says, my favorite holiday movies are Home Alone and Home Alone 2 because both movies are really funny and they make me laugh. I agree with you there, Sherry. Linda says, my favorite is Christmas Vacation. Whether it's the best, I can't say, but I love it. Sharon says, It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite movie. I love the struggle he goes through to find out that he's had real wealth his whole life. Michelle says, White Christmas for me. As soon as I see it, I'm in the Christmas spirit. Kevin says, Jingle All the Way. The classic parent forgot to buy the must-have gift that year, learns the value of being there for family and not just job, etc. And I had to add this in because of our meeting in the morning, guys. Michael Brewer says, Die Hard is definitely a Christmas movie. There's always one in the crowd who claims Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't know. It's not my type of Christmas music.
There are too many holiday movies for me to choose from. I had a college roommate freshman year who watched Home Alone every single day, no lie. We would always watch Home Alone no matter what time of year it was. So I am a fan of Home Alone. I love some of the modern classics. You have Elf, Christmas Vacation is hilarious. But y'all, this kind of crosses over into Die Hard land. My Christmas movie to watch is Singing in the Rain. It's not a Christmas movie, but it gives me the Christmas happiness vibes.
I've never thought of that as a Christmas movie, but I get that, Maddie.
Yeah.
Classic movies, to me, they can be anything because they're just like, they're timeless. But I'm with you on that. I cannot pick one. Christmas Story, Vacation, White Christmas, there's a million.
And then you have the claymation ones as well. We could go on and on, but we don't have time.
All right, weather-wise, we've got nice weather over the Piedmont right now. That cooler temperature kind of making it feel a little more like Thanksgiving. That will continue for one more day heading into your Tuesday. And then really, I think for the majority, Wednesday's a nice day of weather. Watching that rain arriving late Wednesday night through Thanksgiving morning, clearing out in the afternoon for your Thanksgiving outdoor plans. Dry weather hanging around to end the week. We're in the 60s Friday, heading into the weekend. That's your forecast. 4 to 5, we'll be right back.
Yes. Hello. Mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Cold. Hey, mic check. It's a little bit colder than I anticipated. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me through the mask? Hello.
3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Mic check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay.
Hi, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut.
Callie, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're talking about unflattering photos.
Hey there, 123-456. We're doing a mic check for the 5 o'clock newscast on W.
It's time for my 2 cents. I'm here today to say it's okay to take a break. It's okay to do nothing. The art of doing nothing is something that other countries have perfected, but here in America, it's seen as an act of being lazy. I really don't like that. We praise 60-hour work weeks. We praise lack of sleep, lack of spending time with friends and family, lack of relaxation, all in the name of working. And you know what that leads to? Burnout. Then you just aren't useful to either your job or your family. I fear the more we as a society praise the hustle, the more we pull ourselves away from truly living, and that's a sad state to be in. We are not meant to just work all day. There is much more to life than that. Now, I don't want you to confuse my message here. Do what you need to do at work, but don't let it consume your every waking thought. Studies show that having a healthy work-life balance actually improves productivity. I also understand that being able to work less is a form of privilege because not everybody has that option. But I just want to do away with the pressure of always having to do more. Slow down and take moments to enjoy life. Form your own opinion. That's just my 2 cents. That's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
Governor Roy Cooper now saying masks must be worn anytime you are with someone that does not live in your household.
Plus, Guilford and Alamance counties are now in the red.